Okay, guys, this is slide 5 in our World War I unit, and it should be a pretty short little slide here. But it is a local connection we have to World War I, and that is Camp Zachary Taylor. As I mentioned in the last slide, there were 16 training camps set up across the United States. One of those 16 was here in Louisville. Now, you're going to hear lots of numbers on this. You don't have to worry about any of the numbers. There's a couple of things that I want you to know about this that you'll need to take note of, but none of the numbers. You don't have to worry about any of that. And I'll tell you what you need to know. But the first thing here you need to know that this is named after Zachary Taylor, President Zachary Taylor, who was raised in Jefferson County and is buried in Jefferson County out off Brownsboro Road. I don't know if any of you have been to the tomb of President Zachary Taylor, but you should if you haven't. So we have a local connection here to a president and a World War I training camp. Second thing you need to know about it is this is the largest of the 16 camps across the United States. Camp Taylor was formerly named Camp Zachary Taylor. Oddly enough, it was the only one of the 16 that had two names, Zachary Taylor. It's commonly just known as Camp Taylor nowadays, but it was the largest of all the 16 training camps. Now, if you look at the map here, okay, this was June 1917 when this camp gets set up. So this was Louisville in 1917. Here you see the downtown area. The dark line here, this is nowadays, what's the Watterson Expressway. That obviously wasn't there in June of 1917. But that's the modern day Watterson Expressway. This line, this was the L&N Railroad, okay, right here. Louisville and Nashville Railroad, one of the largest in the country at the time. This line here, this was Preston Highway. This is Poplar Level Road right there. This is Newburgh Road right here. Shelbyville Road, it would be kind of over here. It's not there yet, but it would be kind of over in this area. This would be Bardstown Road right there, heading down to Bardstown. So just to give you some idea, the area in red, this is where the camp was, here, okay? Now, that's a pretty good size. Just to give you an idea of where we're talking about, it's about 2,700 acres, right? Now remember, if you think back to Homestead Act, families could get 160 acres of land to farm. This was 2,700 acres, so figure 2,500 of those, right in here. Right? It ran sort of east-west from kind of the Preston Highway area over here, the L&N Railroad, to Newburgh Road, okay? And north-south, okay, from the Watterson Expressway nowadays, you can see this area, to far north as about Eastern Parkway, down by U of L. So if you figure where U of L is to the Watterson, okay, and right about, figure maybe Cardinal Stadium, Papa John's, right over in this area. There's the railroad that runs right behind it. From Papa John's over to Newburgh Road area. This is a large area here, okay? So really good sized camp. It also had, down here, you can see right there, this was a rifle range located near South Park Road. If any of you are familiar with the South End, particularly Fairdale area, which would be right about here nowadays, this is South Park Road. That's the rifle range. They figure best to probably not put it in the middle of the city. There was also an artillery range, and another 16,000 acres, an artillery range near West Point, which is currently, and you need to know this, that artillery range is currently Fort Knox, Kentucky. So way down off the bottom of the map. they had an artillery range. So Camp Taylor became not only a basic training camp, but also a camp for artillery officers. If you were going to be an artillery officer, you went through Camp Taylor. Okay? Now, there were, just to give you some numbers here, over 10,000 workers were used in building the camp. It cost about $7.2 million to build. Right? Some 150,000 soldiers were trained here. Okay? And one of them, very famous one, you'll need to know this name, one of the soldiers that trained here was a man named F. Scott Fitzgerald, first initial F. Scott Fitzgerald. He's a famous novelist and author. Wrote what is sometimes called the great American novel here, The Great Gatsby. Some of you might have read it, or you're going to read it this year. The Great Gatsby was written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, who spent a good part of his young adult years in Louisville at Camp Taylor. In fact, parts of his novel are set in Louisville. He loved the city, very fond of it, while he was stationed here, and he sets part of The Great Gatsby in Louisville. The main female character, Daisy, lives in Louisville, in Cherokee Triangle, down by Cherokee Park. Part of it is set at the Seelbach Hotel downtown. So a local famous connection here with a famous American author. In 1918, the camp was quarantined for 4 months, you need to know this, because of an influenza outbreak. The flu hit the United States incredibly hard. For 4 months, the camp was quarantined. Nobody got in or out. It is believed that soldiers transported the flu on the L&N Railroad as they came in from different parts of the South. Over 800 soldiers died of the flu. 13,000 were hospitalized. That's about a fifth of the camp's population. Right? Just a little geographic lesson here. The camp was headquartered at what is now the Watterson Expressway and Poplar Level Road. So kind of follow me here. If you're going west down the Watterson from Trinity toward Poplar Level Road and that other school over there, if you get off at the Watterson at Poplar Level Road and you turn right, okay, there's a Big Boy restaurant right there at the corner. The zoo is kind of behind that, mega cavern behind there. But as you get off of the Watterson and turn right, straight across Poplar Level Road from you there are some softball fields and a park. It's called Camp Taylor Park. At that corner where the park and the softball fields are now is where the headquarters of the camp were located. And if you continue going down Poplar Level Road, you pass Trevilian on the right where you turn to go to the zoo, and you go down a hill going down Poplar Level Road, and off to the left you see some long white buildings, single-story, some two-story, some three-story buildings that are now public housing, low-income housing. Those were the original barracks. The wood to make the buildings is new, obviously, but it's built on the original foundation, still has the original plumbing that was run back then in a lot of these low-income housings. Those were the barracks for the soldiers. So you can still see some remnants of Camp Taylor here around town. So, little local connection to World War I.